For a time, we tried to contact him by radio, but no response.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the first live edition of the Dumb Marks podcast. Steve, this Sunday is WarGames.
Yeah, buddy.
How do you feel going to WarGames this week?
It is the NXT's third edition, I believe, of the classic pay-per-view. Fourth.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hence why we are Dumb Marks. So, fourth edition of the classic old school WarGames pay-per-view. This one's I'm not as excited for this one as I have been for ones in the past.
I agree. I was thinking about this earlier. I'm not sure if it's because we just had Halloween Havoc at the end of October, and it's just a little over a month later for another big NXT event. Or maybe it's the matches. I mean, we had talked about this on the show a few times that, there's not a lot of title matches on this takeover. It's more set up just for the WarGames matches only.
Yeah, I feel, the men's WarGames match, which we'll get into when we break down the card and give the predictions, that feels like a true WarGames match as far as feud and build and worthiness to be inside of the WarGames cage. The women's, we'll get there and talk about it. But yeah, I mean, the rest of the pay-per-view, when you're looking at it, then not a whole lot to get excited about.
I agree. It kind of feels like, other than the WarGames matches, it kind of feels like the matches would be on a weekly episode of NXT more than a takeover event.
Absolutely. So before we jump in and break down the card, anything that you want to talk about the go-home show for NXT last night that aired? Anything that you feel they did a good job getting you sucked into wanting to watch the pay-per-view?
The only thing that I felt like really kind of made me more excited was the women's ladder match, for the advantage. That I thought both ladder matches were decent. Nothing that I'd really hype up as the men's or the women's last week or this week. Either one I didn't feel like was, worthy of ever talking about it in the history of ladder matches, but they at least did the job, to get you a little bit excited for the match.
Yeah, but they were both booked the same, finish-wise. Yeah. You had interference, you had run-ins. That's how the advantages were won. I have the tweet saved. I can't pull it up right now. But this is something I wanted to bring up for the pod on Saturday. But WWE this year in 2020 with the men's and women's WarGames ladder match qualifiers, I believe they've had 14 total ladder matches this year.
Oh, wow.
So
a lot of ladder matches.
That runs into the, you're watering down the gimmick stipulation just for gimmick stipulation's sake.
Yeah.
It's not special anymore.
And I'm even trying to run through here, other than the Money in the Bank match. I can't even sit there and tell you what some of the other ones were.
Yeah, I got I'll make sure I'll pull the tweet up and talk about it on Saturday. I didn't want to bring it up now, because it's not the main focus of the show. But It was just interesting to see that, with those two matches being the way the qualifying went, again, 14 ladder matches in 1 year, and then you're going to get another one or two because TLC's coming up on the main roster. So
thinking the same thing.
Bigger issues that we can delve deeper into on the regular pod. So, yeah, I mean, for a go home show, it had its ups and downs and it hits and misses for me. Okay. The triple threat North American title. You had the Archer and Ruff team up, or Damian Priest, I'm sorry, and Leon Ruff team up. Gargano on commentary. You know, it just, I don't know, something just seemed off. And I think the tribute to Pat Patterson that they played in the beginning of the show, at least for me, it was done really well. Probably one of the best tributes that they've done for a wrestler, entertainer, person part of the WWE family that has passed away. One of the best ones that they have done.
It was different, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and I think that, that took me a while to get over and get into the feel and groove of the show.
Okay.
So that could have played a part with the beginning of NXT last night, but not too bad.
Yeah, it kind of felt like it was, NXT has a different feel to it than what the main roster is. And I kind of felt like last night's episode reminded me a lot of what a typical go-home show is for Raw and SmackDown. Like the night kicked off with that match, like that you were talking about with the North American Championship focus. Like that type of tag match is what you see on Raw and SmackDown. It's like, okay, let's throw the competitors in a tag match and let them hype it up. Like,
yeah, the video package for Undisputed Era, I didn't like. I didn't think it did anything for me.
Okay.
I was much more impressed with McAfee and them in the ring and letting him go on the stick to hype up the match. I thought he did a hell of a job hammering home points, building the Undisputed Era up at the same time tearing them down, which a good person does on the microphone, because if you lose two of them, then, you lost. But you don't ever just want to completely bury somebody, because then if you do lose, it's like, well, how'd you lose to them? You just buried them on the microphone for the last, month or whatever, and then they walk away with the win. So what's that say about you?
Yeah.
But
surprise, you liked what Pat McAfee did on the mic.
Hey. Hashtag put the strap on Mac. I've been saying it.
Yes,
forever today. We still have no update on Balor.
No.
Like you said, EO is involved in the women's match, so no women's title match. No tag team title match because they're involved in the men's. So literally the only title is the North American.
No.
Yeah.
We'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. So all right, let's dive right into the card. The first match we're going to talk about is Thatcher versus Ciampa. We talked about this on the podcast, what we think of Thatcher segments weekly. I think Ciampa's hitting on all cylinders right now, but how do you feel about this match going in?
I want to see Ciampa beat the shit out of Thatcher. I don't, and maybe it's the way they're presenting Thatcher, because I wasn't really familiar with him previously to him showing up in NXT. So I don't know a lot about his background, where he wrestled at, where he came from. I know whenever he did sign, a lot of the talent were super excited about him coming in and wanting to work with him. So, I just don't like the Thatcher Statch Can presentation, what they're going for with it. It just does nothing for me, and I don't think it will. Like, I'm glad to see the promos that Ciampa has cut recently. This is a good way for this version of his character to get started. The way they ended things in the ring last night leaves some doubt as to whether or not Ciampa is actually going to be able to beat Thatcher. Don't know if his neck's injured or not. He choked him out rather quickly, so we'll see how it breaks down on Sunday. But I'm hoping Ciampa just goes in there and lays the wood to him.
Yeah, I agree. I think Thatcher is definitely doing a good job of the heel of making people hate him. And Ciampa's just been great on his backstage promos and everything, and we're kind of feeling like we're getting a Ciampa, whenever he was in love with Goldie a few years ago. So whether this leads to a potential, match down with Baylor at some point, or if he's just going to be working his way back up to the title, who knows? But I see Ciampa going over in this match on Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ciampa myself. Considering he wasn't on the last takeover, was he?
I don't believe so.
And he got destroyed by Cross at In Your House. So, I don't. Maybe you would give Thatcher the rub, but I think with your main event tier being so injured and banged up as it is, that you would want to elevate Ciampa up to that level as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. And this is just a way to kickstart it with a win over Thatcher and have him work his way back up to being the top of the division.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, next? We'll go into the strap match: Dexter Loomis versus Cameron Grimes.
Going to the
moon. These I'm tired of these two. I really am. I was over them a while ago, but at Halloween Havoc, I actually fell asleep during their segments. There was a few of them that night, but like whenever it got to like that last one, where I think they were like in the house or something. No, the last one was them back in the ring. Whenever they were in the house, I end up falling asleep on that.
Yeah, I tweeted out last night along with the show that, to me, this is like a main roster feud where it should have ended at Halloween Havoc with the, haunted house of terror or whatever they called that match. It's gone on too long. It really has. There's no need for this strap match, in my opinion. I completely hated the blindfold match that they did a couple weeks ago. It turned into a comedy segment. It wasn't even blindfolds. It was pillowcases that they put over top of them.
Yeah.
And, they took them off and fought around outside the ring and ran off and didn't even have a finish to it. So they both need to move on and do something else. I'm curious to see what they do with Loomis going forward. Grimes, he's going to be you're either going to hate Grimes or you're going to love Grimes. There's no in between with him. So if those of you that love him are going to love him and stick by him, those of you that hate him are like, dude, get off my TV screen. I don't want to see you anymore. And maybe that's him being good at his character and what he does, because he is so over the top. I get a chuckle out of him. I laugh, but I don't know where he goes from here either. To me, he's in that North American potential title level of a star. I don't see him going much higher than that on the card.
Yeah, and something that just kind of popped in my head, because I'm not sure where either one of these guys goes after this either. Do they become a tag team, like one of those, that aren't anything really? They just throw them together and.
No, then you might as well just call it Wednesday night NXT, because it's Friday night SmackDown and Monday night Raw. Like, there's been too much, in my opinion. There's been too much of a main roster booking feel to NXT.
I used to watch Cameron Grimes whenever he was on TNA. Wasn't a big fan of him there. I forget what his name was down there, but didn't do anything for me there. And Dexter Loomis didn't do anything for me in TNA either. So it's like the two of them now doing on NXT. It's just like it still does nothing.
I think Loomis had more potential in TNA as the Sam Shaw character, but he was injured a lot, so it was like start-stop with him with stuff. And he was there during a bad time. Like,
that's true.
You know what I mean? I don't. If you throw him in TNA now, who knows where that Sam Shaw character would go. I like the way WWE in NXT has presented him to this point. I want to see what else he has, because he just can't simply be the ice cold stare that doesn't blink, that doesn't ever talk, stalker character. Like, you got to give me something else besides just that. He's very good at it,
but one-dimensional.
Yeah, you got to. I need layers.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm a fat kid. I'm not looking at a 1-layer cake. Give me 3, 4, 5. Layer that up. Right.
I think I have Dexter Loomis. I think out of the two, he's the stronger competitor, and I have him win this match.
Who went over at Halloween Havoc?
He did.
I don't see how Grimes could possibly win this strap match. I don't. But I'm going to go out on a limb. I'll say Grimes.
All right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'll save something for the next match, but I don't see Grimes just pulling out a win here. That's just not really his character. So okay. Good segue into the next match, the NXT North American Championship. The current champion, surprise, surprise, Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest.
You got his name wrong. It's Leon 123 Kid Ruff.
For sure. I mean, that's exactly what he is.
Yeah. How great was Gargano on commentary last night?
Gargano was very good on commentary.
He said, I laughed so hard. What he say to him? He said, "Why are you looking at me? Stop looking at me. Do your job. Go buy another mesh shirt." And I lost it when he said that. Like, the whole Ghostface stuff, I don't really get. Like, it doesn't make any sense right now.
I hope that wraps up. It was okay for Halloween Havoc, but not in December.
No, and then there was one, and then there was two behind Gargano when Priest was looking over the apron. Like, are we going to get to WarGames and there's going to be 700 Ghostface that pop up on the LED screens for the people there in the Capitol, the Thunderdome style cameras, or are they just going to have Ghostface plastered on all those, and like that's how Gargano wins the title back off of Priest? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean,
I keep going back and forth on who is going to win this match. Is Damian Priest isn't worth being a 2-time champ, in my opinion. He's another one I didn't like in Ring of Honor, and I haven't liked him in NXT so far. I like Johnny Gargano. I have no problem. If they would put the title back on him, I have no issue with that whatsoever. But are you really going to make him a 3-time North American champion? Because they usually, in NXT, they don't really do a whole lot of, multiple-time champions. But then there's also Leon Ruff, and he's been sneaky with his wins. And, is he going to be able to sneak another one out? Or,
that character has a shelf life.
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was one night.
So, I mean, I don't know how much longer it can go. I like him. I like what he does in the ring. I've liked what he's done so far. He definitely fits that underdog role to a T. I think this match will be. I think it will come off better than what people may be giving it going in. I think they'll put on a better match than what people expect.
I'm sure.
As far as
there's talent in that ring, for no doubt.
Yeah, as far as who's going to win, though, this one I really have no idea how they're going to go with it. Like you said, does it bounce back to Gargano after he just won it and then lost it right away? But he's had that Sasha, curse where he wins the title and he loses it the next match. So there's really no point to put it back on him. If Ruff wins, who challenges him next?
I was thinking about that too, because it seems like, does this feud end tomorrow night with everybody involved? Now 3 people involved in this match. Does it end no matter who wins? Or does Gargano Priest still continue on? Or does Leon Ruff win, and then we get a new, like you said, like is there another contender that comes forward? And then who would that be? Because I don't think there's anybody that's. It would end up probably being on a NXT a Wednesday night. We'd get another championship win. But who would be that? I honestly have Leon Ruff winning this match tomorrow night.
I was going to say
it out.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I'm gonna have Ruff win, and then Gargano and Priest carry on their thing for at least a little bit longer. Just with the setup that they were doing last night, with how they were booking the whole Ghostface thing, and whether or not they turn that into something, who knows? But to me, it just seems like somehow, some way, Leon Ruff is going to get a win out of this, and Priest and Gargano will go on for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping tomorrow ends the Ghostface. I hope we find out whoever it is, and that ends it, and then we can move on starting this upcoming Wednesday.
Hey, dumb Mark, it's Sunday, not tomorrow.
My bad. All the days run together anymore. What can I say?
I was just going to let it ride and just let you continue on with it, but I was like, maybe I'll call him out once.
Call me out. I don't care.
It won't be the first time or the last time that you do that, so I'm sure I'll do it at some point too.
Because the name of the podcast says it all, like you said, dumb marks.
Yeah, so.
All right, moving on to the first WarGames match out of the night. We'll go with the women's. Team Shotzi versus Team Candice. It took us up to last night to get all members of Team Shotzi identified, but we finally have a 4-on-4 team. We're looking at captain, of course, Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and the NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, and Toni Storm. Yeah,
they swerved us by moving Storm over to the heel side 2 weeks ago. So, I thought watching it and going into it last night that Io would ultimately become the fourth member on the team. She did get laid out the previous week by Candice, and them two have history going back over the course of this year. So that would only make sense that you would put her in, especially because there was no clear-cut challenger for her title. She just beat Rhea.
Mm-hmm.
They just had their match. You're not going to put a feud together in 2 weeks or 3 weeks for a title match. So adding her makes all the sense in the world here. I'm interested to see how they do this. Honestly,
last year's women's match was so good.
That's what I mean. That's a really tall order to live up to that.
Yeah. I mean, you have some talent in this match for sure.
I am deathly afraid that Shotzi is going to legitimately hurt herself in this match.
Your weekly reminder that Shotzi's going to kill herself in the ring one day.
I tweeted at her again this week. I said, Shotzi, please stay away from the top of the WarGames cage. She gets in there and her adrenaline goes so high, and she takes nasty bump after nasty bump after nasty bump, and one of these times it's gonna really injure her, and I don't want it to be off a 20-foot cage.
So what do you think they're going to use? Like last night, Rhea and Ember gave Shotzi a new engine. Do you think they're going to bring out the old DX tank, or do you think that's going to be something to use in the match?
I don't know. I hope neither.
I'm thinking the DX tank. I mean, they're really going with the tank for the marketing on this event. So
I'll be interested to see the order in which each woman enters the match, because then I think that'll kind of tell you how it's going to go. I think Raquel will probably be the last woman in from Candice's team. The baby faces, I mean, Io did some crazy stuff in the cage last year. Ember, I'm worried about Ember too, because you're coming off of an Achilles injury. I don't think you need to be doing things off the top rope and off the cage as well. So
this is an aggressive match for coming off an injury.
Yeah, this one's, it's like, me being, I have the same fear for her and Shotzi that I did with Ciampa in the men's, after coming back from neck surgery. Like, this is one of those matches where, you're an inch away from getting seriously hurt in a regular match, but WarGames just ups the ante. So I'm hoping they can pull off it. I don't know if it'll be as good. I think the storyline was better last year between the two women's teams.
I agree. We talked about this past week on the podcast, that there's not a lot. There's enough to connect, but there's not a lot of story development in this match.
You started this whole WarGames match over the smashing of a tank.
Yeah. To
me, that's not. This is going back to what I say all the time. We have a gimmick pay-per-view, so we need to fit the gimmick match into the gimmick pay-per-view instead of having the feuds build to the match itself.
Mm-hmm.
Saw that with Hell in a Cell. You'll see that with TLC. Women's match in WarGames this year is no different. It was force-fed into a WarGames match. There's no real reason why these 4 women should be in a WarGames match.
Yeah, it's a lot like the main roster. Whenever it's to fit a gimmick pay-per-view, that's it. And I'm actually going to go. I think between the two teams, the team Shotzi is the stronger of the two.
Absolutely. You have Rhea, Io, and Ember.
Yeah. You do have Raquel and you have Tony and Candice on Team Candice, but I think Rhea, Ember, and Io are really gonna do some damage in this match and walk away victorious.
Yeah, I'll go with Team Shotzi for the win as well. I do think the women, I think they stole the show last year with it. I'll be interested to see if they can do it again. But man, it's one of those matches where anytime Shotzi gets involved, I'm just gonna, and pray that something doesn't happen to her.
Right. All right, let's head into the men's. I'm sure this is the match you're looking forward to of the night. Another WarGames match of the Undisputed Era versus the Kings of NXT. Quote unquote, the Kings of NXT.
The greatest 4 individuals that have ever been put together in the professional wrestling business. And that comes from the 412's own Pat McAfee. Hey,
no.
You want to talk about an automatic heat-seeking missile magnet? People were so mad at him last night. I forget who it was. Somebody tweeted out, what'd you think of McAfee's promo or something? And I responded back and I said, he does what he does on the mic. He gets in there, he stirs the pot, he talks shit, he gets the internet wrestling community in a buzz, and he does his job. And that's literally what he does. People absolutely hate him. Hate him to a T. It's hard to be. It's hard. Think about it. Like, how many people in professional wrestling nowadays is there like a true collective hate for, character-wise?
Not many.
Not many. Not many.
I could
even MJF has lost some of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably the only real one that I could compare him to would be MJF. That's because he's comedy.
He hasn't lost. He hasn't lost it at all. Like, he just each week he pokes and he tweaks and he digs a little deeper. Some of the one lines last night he put out there were great. it's just, we're great, you suck. Have a good day. Like, all you stooges watching your show from your mother's basement. Like, oh, it's just so good. So good.
He really has something here with Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Oney Lorcan.
Pete Dunne went a little crazy with the spray tan last night. Little crazy. Hopefully it'll fade out by Sunday, which maybe that was his goal. But last night he came off a little too orangey.
Yeah. I think that even if, because we don't know how long Pat McAfee is going to be around, and I think even if he goes away and the three of those guys would go off on their own, I think they could last for a while. I think they're going to have some chemistry. They're all three of them are hard hitters. They're that technical wrestling type. I really like what they have, and really Pat McAfee works with them just to be their mouthpiece. But he impressed so many people in his match with Adam Cole that it makes sense to put him in this match, because there's going to be a spot with him from the top of the cage.
I hope not. I hope not.
He can just go for it.
He said on his show today, that him and his team, they had a little practice session in the morning, got a good sweat, instant chemistry between the four of them in the ring, devising the game plan on how they're going to attack and take out the Undisputed Era. I think it's gonna. I'm hoping that it lives up to what the build has been so far. They've done a good job of it. Would have been interested to see how it would have been differently if, Ridge Holland doesn't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Does it still build to a WarGames match? And if so, who would have been the four individuals that, who would have been the other two if it would have been Pat and Ridge? Like, would you have gotten Pete Dunne with them? Maybe you get Oni and Danny, but maybe not. Maybe it was two other people. So, like, I think the four of them, they do work well together. It's growing, it's growing on me each and every week. The more I see them as a group come out. So, I think they did their job. They got us to this point. It's been a great build. Storyline wise has been fantastic. Video package for the Undisputed let me down last night, but McAfee picked up the slack like I knew he would once they gave him a 7-minute promo segment.
I think we'll see if tomorrow night's the payoff for this feud, or if it's just one battle in the whole entire war.
So where's the swerve? Where's the swerve? I thought they swerved early with the women. They had Tony flip before, right? Do we see any type of swerve? I mean, any type of swerve.
I don't predict one, but it's possible. I mean, I think this is strictly the match is going to be what it is to have the payoff for their war. I'm thinking this is it. Like, I'm thinking after this match, Pat might go away for a little bit. I don't think he's going to be gone for good. I think he'll be back, but I don't see him being a recurring person on NXT with the way he's been. But I could be wrong on that too. I know you'd be real happy if he stuck around. I
know he's not your cup of tea.
I don't mind him. My whole thing is I think he's good in there. I just don't put the title on him. That's my only thing against whatever we discuss him. No, he's good enough for what he's doing. Nothing more.
But the argument for doing it, which I laid out, is it's automatic. It's just automatic heat if you do it. They will never do it, but no. I don't know. I'm still interested to see if anything comes about from Balor being the one that brought Undisputed Era back. Was that just them trying to pop a rating, having Balor come back, and then you have him bring out the Undisputed Era, Are they going to work together going forward? Is there something where it turns into, him putting out there that art piece of him, Adam Cole, and AJ Styles as the new club? So I would not want to see them break up Undisputed Era. To me, I think it's one of those groups that you just keep together. They work so well together. There was a lot of chatter last night and a lot of talk on where you rank them as far as an all-time faction.
Okay.
Are they DX? Are they NWO? Are they Four Horsemen level? As far as faction goes, we can have that discussion another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, something gotta happen. You gotta have a bigger storyline coming out of the pay-per-view than you did going in.
I think that we're gonna see. I'm thinking kind of playing off of Survivor Series a little bit, that maybe we'll see something that, Finn's still, probably on the sidelines for a few more weeks. Maybe we'll see whoever wins, whether it's Undisputed Era or the Kings, that whatever winning team, maybe they have to fight each other in a fatal four-way or something, and the winner of that match gets a title shot.
And when's Cross coming back? He should be ready to go.
They've been saying that he's in the Performance Center training. So, are they holding him off? Are they holding him off until Balor's healthy and ready to go, and then that's your title feud? Because he didn't get a run with the belt. He got hurt whenever he won the strap. So, I'm sure we're going to see a rematch. I'm sure we'll see somebody challenge Baylor before that. So I was actually looking up the past few WarGames matches. So Undisputed Era is now, this will be their fourth WarGames match.
Yeah, they've been in every one.
Yeah, they won the first one, and then they've lost the last two. So they're 1-3 at WarGames.
They're definitely winning on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that I don't see them getting an L 3 times in a row, and I think they're just hyping them up right now. Even though that package didn't hit, I think even that package makes it seem like they're putting them over more.
But that package also, on the flip side of that coin, that package also makes me feel like something's going to happen to where, we see the dissension and the breakup. That was all hype and love for Undisputed Era and what they've done, and how they've been since they've got there, since they came in, the brotherhood, the love that they share amongst each other, and how it's deeper than just four wrestlers together, their family, and so on and so forth. But they're definitely winning. There's no doubt about that. I would be shocked if they lose this match. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe they lose, and then that's what starts the dissension amongst the four of them, because they lose, and then afterwards they're looking around at each other like, I can't believe we lost to these four guys. We lost to a punter. Oni and Danny, who haven't done anything up until now, and Pete Dunne, who, I know wrestling's an upper body business, but that dude last night walking down that ramp, he must have had the skinniest legs I've ever seen in my life. And then on top of that, he had on skinny pants, and it just made it look even worse.
Kind of like Lesnar. They both skip leg day.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to, if he stepped wrong, he was going to, break his leg.
No, let's not see another Ridge Holland again. I don't need to see that twice in the same year. All right, so we both have Undisputed Era winning. To be determined if we see anything special happen in this match, any swerve, whatever. Anything else before we wrap up the prediction show here?
What did you think? This has nothing to do with the pay-per-view. Just jumping, because it just popped back into my head when we were talking earlier about the Go Home show last night. What did you think of the video package or the video segment with Boa and Xia Li?
I think I missed that.
You didn't see it with the Chinese water torture they did?
No, I think I missed that.
You got to go back and watch it. I got major Lucha Underground vibes.
Okay.
Like how Lucha Underground was known for their back scene, their backstage storyline segments, and it was done really well. It makes me really curious as to who is the master that they're serving, which they kind of flashed and showed quick shots of. You couldn't make out who it was. It's definitely a woman. So maybe the rumors about it being Karen Q are going to be correct, but it was done really well. Like it got me hooked on to that storyline and want to see where it goes.
The whole mystery behind this for weeks now, I've been interested in. So yeah, I'm sorry I missed that. So yeah, I'll definitely go back and take a look at that tonight.
Hey, I mean, we didn't have a live show to do tonight. Nothing like way to come prepared.
I watched the whole thing. I don't know how.
Except that you watched the whole show, except that.
Yeah, I don't know if I didn't watch it. I didn't DVR it. I ended up just watching a feed of it online today. So I don't know if maybe it missed on there or what. But I can only blame myself.
Yeah. I've enjoyed the other war games, so I'm going to enjoy this. Like I said, takeovers just don't hit the same without a live crowd there.
It's true.
And the whole Capitol Wrestling Center thing, it doesn't work for me. Like, I don't know what they were trying to do with that and talk about like going back to their roots and stuff whenever they announced it and everything else. But to me, it was just like a name change for a name change.
Yeah, that's all it was.
So
main roster has Thunderdome. They are the Capitol Wrestling Center. That's all it is. And then from what I understand, that because they don't pick fans out for NXT, from what I heard, they just recycle the footage from Raw and SmackDown.
For the like the LED screens?
Yeah, for the NXT crowd.
Yeah. It's not live people there.
Yeah. It's like, why even do it?
Yeah, it's not. Because I tweeted that out whenever they first started doing it. I'm like, I forget what match it was, but there was stuff going on and there was like no reaction from anybody at all. And I'm like, why is nobody reacting to this? Like, this is like you should see people like doing stuff on their screen, whether it's clapping or cheering or whatever, like nothing. And then that's whenever I found out that it's not actually live people. It's just that, the same people on the screens that were on Raw and SmackDown. So the timing was off as far as, them doing something in the ring and getting a reaction from the people.
It doesn't make sense at all. But I don't think I have anything else to cover for Sunday's War Games. How about you?
No, I'm good. Like I said, I'm gonna look forward to the show. I'm gonna watch it. Besides the two War Games matches, not a whole lot to get excited for. We'll see how it turns out. Maybe it'll be better than what I'm expecting. War Games matches are definitely going to get a lot of time. So look for that to take up, majority of your pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
And then go from there. Do you feel they'll kick off the show with a War Games match?
I don't. I think this will be one, but it goes back to back. But it could happen.
So if I had to bet, I think they're going to put the North American title on first.
Okay.
Then they'll go
maybe the
strap match, women's War Games, Thatcher Ciampa, and then men's War Games.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But I could be completely wrong because once they set up the ring, I don't think they'll take it apart and put it back together again.
Yeah, because they usually kept them both up and then just done the two matches back to back.
So I know, like, I remember watching like WarGames back in the day in that WCW. Like, do you think the other matches will use the other ring at all during the course of their match?
Some of them have, and like in the NXT, yeah, a few of them have, but it doesn't always. I think there'll at least be one match. If I'm looking at the strap match, I think that's going to be confined down to one ring, but maybe the North American Championship that could utilize maybe the two rings.
All right, we'll see. With some little technical difficulties going live for the first time tonight. As you can see in the background, a little blurry with the Dunne Marks logo. We'll have to work out that kinks, but not too bad for making our first live debut. Yeah,
no, I'm happy. So yeah, shoot us some comments. Let us know what you thought of our first live edition. You want to see more of these? Maybe we were talking maybe even doing a watch along Sunday 4 takeover. Maybe we can do something like that too, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and if you can't read the bottom of the screen, you're a dumb mark. So follow us at what it says at the bottom of the screen. All right, I don't got nothing else. You got anything else?
I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Well, enjoy the show Sunday. Thanks for tuning in and catching up with your favorite two dumb marks. And until next time, we'll catch you around the way.